Well, Todd, welcome back to SuperChat.
Good morning, Gary.
As we have been consistently reporting updates each month, I was wondering if you could begin our program today by providing our listeners the very latest status regarding your master facility plan for Northwest Local.
I would love to. We finally have some things finalized. We recently, at our last board meeting, just hired our design build contractor, and that will be Megan Skanska, with the architect being SHP. So we are now finalizing the contract to get that in place, and then we get to start with some of our designing. The most important thing to talk about is there had been some questions in the past about some possible site changes. I can now tell you that the 3 sites of the new elementary schools will not change. They will be the same as we talked about prior to the levy being passed, and that is one staying at Pleasant Run Elementary, the other site being at Taylor Elementary, and the third site being at Struble Elementary. And just remind folks that the Struble site will be a combination of Weigel and Struble students. The Taylor site will be a combination of Taylor and Pleasant Run L students. And the Pleasant Run L site will be a combination of Welch students and Pleasant Run Elementary students. So now that the sites are established, we also have been in the process of applying for ELP, which is our expedited local program through the state Ohio School Facility Commission. And what that allows us to do is they work with us as we're building our 3 new schools and doing renovations. And as we build our 3 new schools, we receive credit from the state. So what happens is, based upon your population and your income of your district, the state will pay a percentage for your new buildings. So knowing that our new buildings are going to cost $21 million apiece for the 3, roughly $63 million, the state will give us $22 million of that, plus our renovations for a total of $86 million. So we hope that when we are done in August 2018, we are pretty sure that through the state, we will have accumulated $17 million in ELP credit. So what that does is it puts it in a bank for us and allows us to apply it to a new building. And as I've talked on previous podcasts, we are looking at what we can do for Colerain L and Colerain Middle School. And this gives us a $17 million head start on that. So it won't cause us to ask for another bond issue for the taxpayers. It is money that we're trying to be smart about, be conservative with, and accept from the state because it is money for us. So to us, it was a no-brainer that we should go through this ELP application. And as we go through this process, it allows us to earn more money to build schools in the future.
Well, these state dollars, that's quite an incentive, is it not?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is. The district I was in prior, 70% of the new buildings were paid for by the state. Because of our income of our parents and community members, we qualify for 22%. So you can't pass up what is supposedly free money. And I want to remind our voters that people have been scared, or there's rumors out there. Somebody even spoke at the last board meeting that was misinformed. Why would we want the OFSC to be in here and control our project? Well, they don't control our project. We passed the bond issue on our own. It's our money to spend and build our new buildings. But they will work hand in hand with us, and we are going to follow basically the same guidelines they follow for new schools anyway. It's based on enrollment. It's based on size. It's based on what capabilities, lighting, security, all of it's going to be consistent. So to not take this money just made no sense. So I'm glad that we got approved through the ELP application process, and it's just a good way to start. But now that we have our design builders, we'll be pulling together teams from our schools. We'll be pulling together administrators, community members, teachers, staff members, parents, and some high school students to help through the design team process. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, sure. And the process moves on. This is great. And we will be reporting on this on future episodes of SuperChat. Well, Todd, as you know, we speak with many, many schools, most of which are adopting and integrating technology into the learning process. So I was wondering if you could provide me a description of how 21st century learning is impacting the students of Northwest Local.
Yeah, 21st century learning is going to be an eye-opener for some people. As a parent of 3 in college now, and knowing that I'm talking to a lot of parents at the podcast, our traditional school was teacher-led in front of the room. We sit in our nice rows of desks. Every now and then we'd get to do some group work, but it was basically a teacher writing on a chalkboard or using an overhead and us learning through those procedures. Well, 21st century learning changes all that. It's more content relevant. The teacher is a guide versus the teacher being the holder of knowledge, which brings into the technology piece. They used to give us all their knowledge, but now with technology and everything that we have access to on the internet, it is better to allow students to do collaborative learning, to research the answers, to find out the answers. And kids learn in different ways. So one kid may go about it trying to find an answer different from another kid. And that's okay as long as you get to the final conclusion of what we're looking for. But 21st century learning will look at integrated interdisciplinary learning. It'll be project-based, it'll be collaborative, it'll be personalized learning. And really, when we get our team together, it'll look at three areas. It'll look at our educational delivery system, our facilities, and what our specific spaces look like. So if you would ask most people just walking out in the community, what do you expect the new schools to look like? You would expect there to be a fifth grade wing, a fourth grade wing, a third grade, a second, first, and kindergarten, and be about 6 or 7 classrooms on each wing. Well, we're trying to change that. We want open spaces. We want flexible spaces. When you look at our delivery system, we want personalized learning plans, student-initiated projects. We hope that students learn 75% of what they learn in teams, not by themselves. It's project-based, it's discussions, it's students regularly teaching each other, consulting outside experts, looking on the internet. And then when you look at the facilities, that's going to be the hard part for some people. We want spaces and furniture that are flexible, that are agile. Remember, we're building schools that are going to last 75 years. And if you look at the way technology is changing now, it's going to be hard to keep up with that. So that's why the key for us is to build some flexible spaces. You don't just want a wing of 7 rooms. We might have a wing of 3 rooms, and then all the other spaces flexible, where walls can be pulled together, doors can be shut, windows be pulled in between. You can cut it off into smaller spaces. You will have a center area or an extended learning area where kids can take their Chromebooks or their personal devices and do research and work in small groups. There will be technology that will allow presentations to occur through the Google format or through PowerPoint or any type of Microsoft areas. And then we also want areas that the community can use. We had a big push when we went for this levy that we need more athletic facilities. So when we design these buildings, we'll have it set up where outside renters from our public school kids and our parochial school kids can rent these facilities. And then they won't have access to the rest of the school, but they'll have bathrooms, they'll have the gyms, they'll have whatever they need. We'll have spaces, auditoriums, where if they need to be rented out, all of this can be controlled, but it's all flexible spaces. So you might have a gym that backs up to the cafeteria that has a stage in between them. You can open it up either way, but it's those type of flexible spaces that are going to be different for folks, especially when you think about the old time traditional classroom. That's not the way education is anymore. We have a world of knowledge out on the internet that our students are learning to use now. And some of it, scares people. They don't want them to have access to everything that's out there. Well, through blocking Wi-Fi ports and other things, we can control what access they do have. But again, it's a great base of knowledge. And when we design these schools, it's trying to keep all that in mind and trying to keep up with what we need to do.
Well, teachers are always obviously coordinating and facilitating access to the appropriate information that is consistent with your overall curriculum. But what you're talking about here is all part of this transition nationwide, actually, to a whole college and career readiness focus. Technology is definitely a part of it. The efficiency. We hear from schools involved deeply into the technology realm, the efficiencies added to the whole process, even the interaction between the teacher and the students and everything that has to go on as a part of the teaching and learning process is just extraordinary. There's no comparison to, as you described, the desks all in a row and everybody raising their hand and so on and so forth. I think those days are just gone. It's much more of a collaborative approach, and it sounds like you guys have a grip on this real well. And I can't think of a better time than as you're ramping out new facilities in terms of construction. So very good. Well, as we go and as things progress on this front as well, we can bring technology back into our conversation. What do you say on a future episode?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I mean, we already have some teachers that are doing some outstanding things. The kids walk into class, read a question on the board, and then they get out their personal devices and they can give immediate feedback. So, yeah, I would love to have that conversation. There's a whole lot out there that people aren't even aware of.
Cool. And on another point, Todd, it is somewhat common this time of year to be coming off of local, regional, and state band competitions. So I was just wondering, what have been your spring band results this year?
Yeah, we got some great news from Colerain High School. First of all, their Colerain High School varsity winter guard, who was awarded the silver medal in the circuit or the state championships for Scholastic A. It's the 15th time in school history that the color guard has been medaled in the circuit state championships. The big congratulations is to Colerain High School varsity indoor percussion, who was awarded the gold medal and finished the season undefeated in the circuit state championship. So if people don't understand how music works, each time I've said circuit, because as Mr. Smith described, a circuit is because it's in the arts. They compete in circuits, not in state competitions. But it's equitable to winning a state championship in a sport. So they've done some great job with their percussion, with the winter guard. I know, and some people don't think about it. All you do is you drive by in August and you think about the football teams out there practicing, and all of a sudden you'll see soccer out there. But, the bands out there, color guards out there, everybody has two-a-days in that aspect also. So these kids work just as hard as any sports team we have. So we're just proud that they were able to achieve this.
Yes. It's quite a discipline, and they really have to keep their nose to it because it's a very competitive environment, and they're all benefiting as it relates to the inclusion of this arts aspect of the whole learning process. It really rounds out the individual. Well, Todd, I was wondering if you had any other key dates or things that our listeners should know at this point.
Yeah, in April, one of the biggest dates that we have coming up is the Northwest High School Night of Honor. It's Thursday, April 14th. If you need tickets, all you have to do is call Northwest High School, and they can set you up. The Night of Honor is where they induct their former athletes and students into the Hall of Fame. So it's a great evening for Northwest High School. So if anybody's interested, all they have to do is contact the school. When I talk to you again in May, I'll have graduation dates and everything else for you that we can cover and all the end of the year activities. So this year's flying by.
It certainly is. Before you know it, graduation will be here. Well, Todd, I do enjoy our monthly conversations. We continue to hear from listeners each and every month, mostly emails in the studio, but that's good. So I think they are benefiting from our monthly podcasts as well. We've included some important topics today, and I would ask that they continue to join us each and every month. And I want to thank you for joining me once again here on SuperChat.
Thanks, Gary.